all of our laundry. It just is so relaxing to come out here and hang laundry. It saves on electricity because you're not running the dryer. It makes your clothes smell better. It helps keep your whites brighter.
I can.
I think I shared this tip before, but I've started giving each member of our family a separate clothesline. We have 4 lines on this pole. So when I take the laundry down, I can just easily grab it, fold it, put it in the basket in that person's pile, and it's so much easier to put laundry away. I used to just pull everything off, throw it in the hamper, and then have to go inside and fold it, but this has saved me so much time in laundry. Okay, so I'm going in here and pruning any of the tomatoes that are a little bit, tomato stems that are a little bit curled, just to keep it from putting nutrients to this stem when this stem is probably not going to produce, and put more effort to the actual tomatoes. And a bonus, our cow loves these. The sunflowers we planted like 3 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we had a whole back pasture of sunflowers, and these are like the seeds that just transplanted right here. This was actually a burn pile, Eliza. At the beginning of the season, we started seeing the little sunflower sprouts come up, and we have these huge, they're not mammoth, but they're like a certain variety that grows really tall. And I love like looking out over the garden, seeing these tall sunflowers. Ideally, I do like them a little shorter because they get so tall it's hard to cut. But our rabbits have been loving the sunflower snacks. Eat the entire stalk and everything. So it's been a really good food source for them until we can get them built a rabbit tractor, basically that has wheels, or we can move it easily and they can just roam on our pasture land, which will eventually be gardening spot. So like in the off season, we'll have them moving around in the garden spots, fertilizing our garden soil. So that's the ultimate idea for our rabbits right now. Sadly, we just have to take them things like this, fresh grass, fresh things from the garden, bring them fresh scraps. Just starting to tassel. We also have a few silks coming up that will actually produce the corn. This is our pumpkin patch and a small row of okra. All of this is several varieties of pumpkin that is running into our yard, which we've got to get fenced really, really soon, because as soon as those pumpkins start producing, our chickens will be in this. Pumpkins will be devoured within a day, because that actually happened to us last year. A put in here a couple of days ago. This really huge sunflower stalk, and you can see they've gnawed all of the leaves off of it. Here we go. Fresh sunflowers. So yes, this is not the ideal way to raise rabbits, I realize, but they were gifted to my children. We didn't have the means and the time to get everything set up the way I would ideally like to. So this is just how we raise them for now. They do get rabbit pellets occasionally, but I try my best to bring them fresh veggies, especially here in the spring and summer when we have so much extra produce and scraps and fresh vegetation for them to eat on. So one day when we build a rabbit tractor to make them mobile, I will bring you along for that and show you how that works. But for now, here they are. So as usual, we're having leftovers for lunch. This is a rice, veggie, meat, Mexican-y style dish that I served last night. And I'm reheating that today with some sourdough bread, some sweet pickles that I just made that are amazing. Was realizing here recently that I'm not going to be able to do this for much longer, is serve leftovers for lunch, because my kids are getting bigger and they're eating more. So they're eating more at dinner and then they're eating more at lunch. So we're barely having enough, like for my husband to take for lunch and then us to have a little bit for lunch. So I'm going to have to either start making bigger dinners so that I can have leftovers for the next day, or either start cooking something fresh for lunch. And I think I'm going to lean towards cooking bigger dinners, just doubling what I'm cooking for dinner the night before so that I do have enough for leftovers. After eating this dish inside, I told y'all it's been raining on and off all day, so we actually ate inside. Typically we love to eat outside for lunch, but I quickly was reminded when I was cleaning up this mess why I typically have the kids eat lunch outside, especially when we're having a rice dish. Rice goes everywhere when kids are eating it. It is sticky, it is so hard to sweep up, so I was well reminded on why we typically eat lunch outside after cleaning up this mess from lunch today. I'm getting some tea together for the kids and I to have an afternoon treat. So anytime my husband is going to be home late, I try to do this with the kids, so to have something special when they wake up, because they usually love to wake up and find their dad home and we all head outside and do projects together, farm chores, just something outside. But when he's getting home late, like today, I try to have the little tea party time with them. They inevitably want a snack when they wake up. I try to skip snacks and go make them hold off till dinner. It's just really difficult. They're constantly asking for something. And I realize they truly probably are a little bit hungry, because in the past I found that if I was giving them really large snacks like I used to, they would not want to eat their dinner. And of course, kids are going to want to pick the sweet treat snack over the dinner when given that option, when they're given the option to fill up on snacks. So instead, what I try to do when we have this little tea time is make a really nourishing tea. So it's just going to be chamomile tea that I'm about to steep now, mixed with some warm milk and honey. I put it in a nice little tea set. This is actually one of my tea sets from when I was a child, so it's like a play kid tea set and they love it. I usually offer some sort of bread, or today we have some leftover cookies from yesterday. Something very, very, very small that's not even gonna like really fill them up at all. So they will make sure to eat the nourishing foods that I'm preparing for dinner that night. biscuits are the absolute best sourdough biscuits I've ever had. I actually tried making sourdough biscuits when I first started sourdough. They were hard as a brick. I've tried here recently making sourdough biscuits. They did not rise, they were hard, they weren't fluffy. These are amazing. The only downside is you have to allow 24 hours for them to ferment. Now, you can give or take like 20 hours, 18 hours, 26 hours. It doesn't have to be exactly 24 hours, but you will need to think ahead. If you want to have these for dinner one night, start the dough the night before. If you want to have them for breakfast one morning, start them the morning before. So the night before, you're going to mix 2 1/4 cups of flour and 6 tablespoons of butter. I like to just chop my butter into little cubes and then mix it in with my hands into the flour until I get like a really fine, powdery, buttery substance. Then you will add 1 cup of milk and 2/3 cup of sourdough starter. You can use an active bubbly starter. You can use sourdough discard. It does not matter. I've used both. They come out perfect either way. So you're going to mix this together really good, knead it really well. I usually knead for about 5 minutes. I just want this well incorporated. Then I'm going to cover the dough with a tea towel. I have some bowl covers. You could use plastic wrap. You could put it in like a Walmart plastic bag and cover it that way. You just want not a lot of air to get into your bowl as it sits in the fridge overnight for the next 24 hours. I prepared this on a Wednesday night. It is a Thursday night you're seeing here. I'm pulling it out of the refrigerator and pressing the dough into a somewhat rectangular square shape. And then I'm going to add my leavening agents. So my baking powder, baking soda, and salt. So you're going to use 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'll have all these measurements down below, so you don't have to be like writing this down as I'm talking to you guys and showing you the recipe. You're going to sprinkle that across the top, and then I kind of like fold it over and then kind of start balling it up and then kneading all of these leavening agents into the dough to help it rise, to give it that biscuit shape that we all love in a biscuit. I'm going to knead this just for a good minute or so, just to get everything well incorporated. Then I'm going to start rolling it out and making my folds. So everyone, at least me and my family, love those layers, those fluffy layers in biscuits. So this is where you're going to get those layers. You're going to, after you've kneaded in the last ingredients, you're going to roll it out into sort of a rectangle shape and fold it in thirds. So I fold the left side in, fold the right side in on top, kind of like an envelope maybe, and then roll it out again. Roll it out pretty well until a pretty large rectangle again, and then I turn my dough and do the same process. Fold the left side in, fold the right side on top, roll it out. Just continue this folding and rolling process for about 2 to 4 times. I've done 2, I've done 5, just whatever I feel like. The layers are beautiful either way, even if you just do this 2 times. So once you have done fold and roll a couple of times, you will spread it out again. Use a biscuit cutter. I just use a regular mouth mason jar ring. You could use a measuring cup, a biscuit cutter, whatever you have on hand. Cut the biscuits out, put them in your skillet, whatever you're going to cook it in. I usually use cast iron because it gives a really good crisp bottom to your biscuit. And then bake at 375 for about 20 minutes. I usually just watch them closely until they've risen and are slightly brown on top. These biscuits, guys, as you can see, are so fluffy, are so voluptuous. We serve this with the side of sausage gravy and fried cream eggs on top. It's a delicious breakfast. We will probably have these again sometime this weekend. We have these biscuits at least twice a week now that I have mastered biscuit making in sourdough form. I was making regular biscuits for quite a while, but we don't love eating unfermented grains just because of the digestibility of them. So these biscuits are amazing. Again, this is one recipe you've got to try. Let me know if you try them down below. Thank y'all so much for spending the day with me in this homemaking day of a day in the life here around our homestead, just seeing what all is going on. And I will talk to y'all in a future video.